Hey guys, it's the Crafty Prepper, and it has been 1 year here on my homestead, and I wanted to maybe just review because really what I'm showing on my channel now is progress, starting with blank. I don't know if you remember uh, the video of my new homestead. It was showed where it was just like wild, rough ground, and they cleaned it all flat and put the new house in. So I've really started from scratch here. So in 1 year, I just wanted to do a recap, I guess. But in 1 year, I have planted some non-food plants up front, sort of for camouflage. I think I'm gonna do a different video on that. But in the back, I've planted several fruit trees. I have a list. I made a list. But this is all the things, the perennials that are going to come back every year, and this is all the stuff that I've just planted in my garden this year. But I wanted to do as much in the first year that I could of like the fruit trees and blueberries and figs and grapes, of things that are going to keep coming back. I wanted to go ahead and get them in the ground as soon as possible because it takes a few years for them to start producing fruit. So the only thing I didn't get put in the first year that I had planned to were a few more fruit trees, because I have apple, cherry, and peach now, and I would like plums and pears, and I'd like almonds and pecans. Almonds, because I like to drink almond milk, and it's easy to make by yourself. And then what's left over of the ground up almonds, you can dry and use that as almond flour. So then I wouldn't need a goat or a dairy goat or a milk cow, because I could make almond milk if I had almond trees. And pecans are just my favorite nut. Everybody likes pecans, I think. Anyhow, so that's some things I didn't get added that I'll probably plant this fall. Probably, that's my plan. I don't think I'll add any more animals. In this first year I have 8 chickens and 1 beehive, and I may add 2 more beehives. I'd like to have 3 beehives. And I don't think I'll add any more chickens this coming next year. Maybe the year after, so that I can continuously have good egg production. And the garden, if you remember at the beginning when I first moved here, I got the free wood chips and I laid them all out and just let them marinate out there on the ground for a whole year before I really planted anything in it. So now this year, because for the Back to Eden gardening method, so this year I have it's 45 feet by 30 feet garden, and it didn't, I laid the wood chips flat on the clay and the rock, and the clay stays soft and moist under the wood chips all the time. So it's not, and there's probably a layer maybe an inch thick of black under there. And the wood chips that I still have in piles over here that I haven't put anywhere yet, if you just stick a fork in there and flip them over, it's turning black in there. So I'll have huge piles of compost if I don't have places to spread the rest of those wood chips out. But I need to put a new layer of wood chips now on the garden because it's breaking down, to keep adding to it. So I have the huge garden, I have all the fruit trees, the bees, and the chickens. It was a lot of work and a lot of projects. I still don't have very much grass. I tried sowing grass seed a couple of times in the fall and in the spring, and I did get some to take, but just right up here, just right up around the house, maybe about 10 feet out from the house, and that's it. But the weeds are filling in nicely. If you mow them, then they kind of look like grass from a distance. And there's a bunch of, you probably can't see it because it's brighter outside than in here, but there's a bunch of, it looks like grass growing, and it might be just crabgrass or something, but hey, it was free and it looks like grass when you mow it. So future projects that I want to work on, I still don't have a wood stove. I would really like a wood stove, but I spent all my money on the other projects so far. So maybe by this fall, or maybe tax time again, I can get a wood stove in here. I also would like to put a solar pump on my well, so that when the power's out I could still have water, or a hand pump. Either way, a solar pump would be good though, because then I could still have water into the house. So I have a set of solar panels from Harbor Freight. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know enough about solar. That's my next thing to learn about. You know, learned about bees, learned about chickens, learned about gardening. Now I need to learn about solar. And eventually one day I'd like to have solar power for the house, but that's pretty far off. Let's see. I can focus now more on projects in the house. I've really been focusing all my time and attention outside because my house was new, and I just haven't, it's been a year and I still don't have like set places for some things, so I kind of have a mess all the time, so I need to figure that out. But now that I've kind of got the garden going, everything's kind of settled, the chickens and the bees, everybody's happy, I can focus on that kind of stuff. So I feel like I've come a long way in 1 year, from bare ground to having all this food. I mean, if you look, maybe, I don't know if you can see, this is all the food that I have on my 2 acres now that's going to just keep coming back every year, if all goes well. That I don't have to work that hard for, and I'll have food. So I find that pretty exciting. Oh, and not to mention the blackberries. Everywhere blackberries, so I didn't have to do anything, and I'll have plenty of fruit from them. So let's see, one last thing. For my garden journal, I went ahead, I don't know how close to get this, let me stand up. I went ahead and, I'll turn it sideways maybe, you can't really see it, but I measured out and marked out everything that I have planted in the garden so that I have a record of it. I also wrote down how many seeds I planted. I'm keeping track of how many sprouted, and I'm really going to try to keep track of how much produce I get from each plant, so I have an idea of how much I'll get off everything, so I'll know how much to plant next year, and if I need more of a certain thing or less. And also I'm going to try to keep track of what I eat and what I use, so that I know how much food I need in a year, which that seems like a big task. I don't know how to do that, but that's another thing I want to figure out this year, because I want to see how much of my own food I can produce and only have to go to the store for, like, toilet paper and stuff like that. I want to make my own. I make my own laundry soap. I want to make my own, shampoos and stuff like that too. That's my plan for the next year, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching my videos and keeping up with how things are going so far, and I hope that you keep watching. Thanks guys, take care.